Welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're tackling Sun Tzu and his art of war, a figure kind of shrouded in legend and military brilliance. We're going to be exploring excerpts from the art of war and hopefully uncovering the life and legacy and the surprisingly relevant wisdom of this ancient strategist.
Yeah, I think what's so fascinating about Sun Tzu is that he was more than just a warrior, right?
Right.
Like you said, shrouded in legend. You'll find he was a politician and a philosopher.
Interesting.
And lived during China's spring and autumn period.
Okay.
A time of just constant warfare and political upheaval.
It's like the perfect breeding ground for that kind of strategic thinking.
Absolutely.
He was descended from nobility.
He was.
But was forced to flee his home state of Qi because of political unrest.
Yeah.
Eventually, he found his way to Wu.
That's right.
And it's almost like, this period of exile, where he dedicated himself to the study of strategy. It really shaped his thinking in some profound ways.
Yeah, for sure. Like, his story just really highlights, I think, the importance of patience, observation. You can almost see him during this period just kind of absorbing knowledge and experience, waiting for the right opportunity to apply all these insights.
Yeah.
And when that opportunity came, he produced The Art of War, a work that's resonated for centuries.
Yeah. And The Art of War isn't just a manual for winning battles. It's a treatise on human nature and leadership and the very essence of conflict.
For sure.
It's divided into 13 chapters, each delving into a different aspect of warfare. But I think when you look at it, like the bigger picture, it offers a framework for understanding conflict in any context.
Exactly. And what Sun Tzu is really doing, I think, is giving us a way to think about conflict itself, whether it's on a battlefield, on a boardroom, or even in our personal lives.
Right.
One of the, I think, most surprising things you'll find in The Art of War is the emphasis on self-knowledge.
Oh, interesting.
Sun Tzu argued that understanding your own weaknesses is just as important as exploiting your enemies.
It's so true. And that's a concept that resonates really strongly in modern leadership theory as well, right?
Absolutely.
You can't lead effectively if you don't know your own limitations, right?
Right.
But there's another point that I found in The Art of War particularly interesting. Sun Tzu was actually an advocate against unnecessary warfare.
Yeah, that's right. He believed in achieving victory through, careful planning, intelligence, and outsmarting your opponent. And there's that famous quote, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting, which really sums up his philosophy.
Yeah, and it's like he's saying that true victory lies in avoiding conflict altogether, or at least in choosing your battles very carefully.
Yeah.
Which brings us to another key principle, his emphasis on intelligence gathering.
Yes.
He was very adamant about knowing your enemy as well as you know yourself.
His quote, "Know the enemy and know yourself, and you will never be in peril in 100 battles," is one for the ages, I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But he doesn't stop there.
Okay.
Sun Tzu advocated for using spies not just to gather information, but to spread misinformation among the enemy ranks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This kind of proactive approach to intelligence warfare really highlights the importance of shaping the narrative in any kind of conflict.
So it's not just about reacting to what your opponent's doing.
Right.
It's about anticipating their moves and even influencing their perceptions.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes me wonder how all this translated into actual strategies for winning wars.
Sure.
Did he have tactics for battles, or was it all about intelligence and deception?
He had both.
Okay.
But what's fascinating is how he prioritized them.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So Sun Tzu outlined a hierarchy of strategic actions.
Okay.
With defeating the enemy's strategy at the very top.
So he's saying the best way to win is to outthink your opponent before you even engage in battle.
Exactly.
Okay.
Following that, he prioritized disrupting alliances. Only then did he advise directly engaging their army.
Wow.
And sieging cities, that was considered the absolute last resort.
Makes sense when you think about the cost and the destruction of a siege.
For sure.
That could drag on for years.
Yeah.
Deplete both sides' resources. And speaking of resources, wasn't there a strategy that Sun Tzu used where he relied on the enemy for supplies?
You're thinking of live off the enemy's provisions.
Okay.
It was a brilliant, albeit audacious strategy that involved consuming the enemy's food supplies.
Oh, wow.
As his army advanced. It was a way to kind of weaken the enemy while also sustaining your own troops.
Yeah, like turning their resources against them.
Precisely. It highlights Sun Tzu's understanding of logistics as this really critical element of warfare.
Yeah.
This strategy was actually put to the test in 506 BCE when Sun Tzu led the Wu army on a campaign against the much larger state of Chu. Imagine this, 1,000-mile march.
Wow.
With just 30,000 troops.
That's wild.
It's a testament to his strategic planning and his ability to execute these complex operations.
1,000 miles. That's incredible. Logistically, it just sounds like a nightmare.
Right.
And they were facing a larger force. What happened?
Well, this is where live off the enemy's provisions comes in.
Okay.
Sun Tzu's army basically lived off the land.
Wow.
Consuming Chu's supplies as they advanced.
Huh.
It's a risky strategy, but it paid off.
Okay.
The Wu forces won 5 consecutive battles.
What?
In a little over 10 days.
5 battles in 10 days. That's astounding.
It is. And it ultimately led to the capture of Chu's capital city, Ying.
Wow.
This campaign really showcases Sun Tzu's principles in action. Careful planning, intelligence gathering, exploiting the enemy's weaknesses.
Yeah.
All these things played a role in their victory.
It's like he was always a step ahead, anticipating his opponent's moves and turning their strengths into weaknesses.
That's a great way to put it. You see that same strategic thinking in the campaign against Yu in 494 BCE.
Okay.
In this case, Sun Tzu actually utilized deception to achieve victory.
Oh, right. The excerpts mentioned something about decoy units.
Yes. The Wu army used these decoy units with torches to confuse the Yu army.
Oh, wow.
During a night attack, it created chaos and disarray within the Yu ranks, leading to a decisive Wu victory.
Really highlighting his mastery of psychological warfare, right?
Absolutely.
He understood the power of deception and how to use it to manipulate his opponent's perceptions.
Well, absolutely. But his legacy isn't just about these military victories.
Right.
Around the age of 50, Sun Tzu actually retired from active service.
Really? Why would he step away at the height of his success? Was there something else he wanted to achieve?
Well, the reasons aren't entirely clear, but it's believed that political intrigue played a role.
Okay.
The execution of his close friend and fellow strategist Wu Zixu likely contributed to his decision. They had a falling out with the Wu king. And it seems that Zixu's death may have disillusioned Sun Tzu.
It's a reminder that even the most brilliant strategists can be caught up in these complexities of political power.
Indeed. But Sun Tzu's retirement didn't mark the end of his contributions.
Okay.
He devoted his remaining years to revising and refining the art of war, ensuring that his wisdom would be passed down to future generations.
Now, what a legacy.
Yeah.
It has become. His insights into human nature and conflict and strategy are just so fundamental. They've found applications far beyond the battlefield.
Absolutely. You see his principles at work in business and politics and even personal development.
It's incredible to think that a work written over 2,500 years ago can still be so relevant today.
It speaks to the timeless nature of his insights.
Yeah.
He understood something fundamental about human behavior and the nature of conflict.
So for our listener who might be wondering how these ancient principles apply to their own lives.
Right.
What are some specific examples of Sun Tzu's wisdom in action?
Well, think about negotiations. You know, knowing your strengths and weaknesses, anticipating your opponent's moves, being adaptable to changing circumstances. These are all crucial. Yeah. These are pure Sun Tzu principles.
It's about being strategic in every aspect of life, isn't it?
Exactly. Sun Tzu's teachings aren't about brute force. They're about using intelligence, strategy, and even compassion to navigate these complex situations.
It's about achieving your goals in the most effective and elegant way possible.
Precisely. And that's why The Art of War remains such a compelling read. Yeah. It challenges us to be more aware, more adaptable, and more strategic in all aspects of our lives.
Yeah, it's not about becoming some kind of like ruthless warlord or something like that. Right. It's about taking those timeless principles and becoming a more effective leader. Or negotiator or strategist, no matter what field you're in.
Exactly. And I think that's really, what sets Sun Tzu apart. His work isn't just about winning on the battlefield. Right. It's about using strategy to navigate, all the complexities of life. Yeah. So maybe you're dealing with a difficult coworker or negotiating a major deal or even just trying to overcome self-doubt. Yeah. All, Sun Tzu's principles can be applied to any challenge, really.
Yeah, it really makes you think about what battles are worth fighting and which ones are maybe better resolved through diplomacy or negotiation, or even just stepping back. Is there a part of the art of war that really, like, exemplifies this idea for you?
You know, for me, it's the paradox, right, of his philosophy, right? So he's known for his military genius, yet he was fundamentally against unnecessary warfare. He saw war as a last resort. And I think this really speaks to his deep understanding of the human cost of conflict.
Right.
And this desire to achieve victory, you know, through wisdom and strategy, not through brute force.
Yeah. It's a powerful lesson, especially in our world today, where it seems like, you know, conflict is everywhere.
Absolutely.
You're right. It's almost like he's saying true strength lies in knowing when not to fight.
Yeah.
That's a difficult skill to master, I think.
It is. And that's the beauty of the art of war, right? It's not a, you know, rigid set of rules.
Right.
But it's a framework for thinking about, you know, conflict and strategy and human nature.
Yeah.
And it challenges us to be more aware.
Right.
More adaptable, more strategic in all aspects of our lives.
It's not about becoming a Machiavellian mastermind or something.
Right, exactly.
It's about developing a deeper understanding of ourselves and our goals and the best ways to achieve them.
For sure.
What would you say is the most important takeaway for our listener?
I would say this. Sun Tzu's Art of War is not just a book about winning battles. It's a guide to understanding conflict and mastering strategy and ultimately achieving your goals in a more effective and mindful way. It encourages you to be adaptable and resourceful and to always strive to outthink rather than overpower your opponent.
And that opponent doesn't always have to be another person, right?
Right, exactly.
It could be a challenging project or a limiting belief or even just a tough situation you're facing.
Absolutely. I think the art of war can really be applied to any challenge. It's about looking at the world through this strategic lens and understanding how all the pieces kind of fit together.
Right.
And making choices that lead to a more favorable outcome.
So it's not about, you know, becoming a warrior, but about developing a warrior mindset.
Right.
A mindset of awareness and adaptability and strategic thinking.
Well said. And maybe by applying these principles, we can all become a little more like Sun Tzu, you know, master strategists.
Right.
Not just on the battlefield, but in the game of life itself.
That's a fantastic point. So to our listener, we encourage you to explore the art of war yourself.
Yeah.
See what kind of wisdom you can glean from this ancient text. It's a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
And strategic mastery.
Absolutely.
You might just surprise yourself.
And remember, as Sun Tzu himself said, every battle is won before it's ever fought. So go out there, be strategic.
Yeah.
Be adaptable and conquer your own personal battlefield, whatever that may be.
Okay. Until next time, keep exploring.
Yeah.
Keep learning and keep diving deep.